With practice and qualifying, it's time to get you set for Texas over on DraftKings. We're going to look at the updated odds board with all of the movement, figure out what it means, and where we can still find value as we head into race day.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
Brian Twining, Saturday night. I was really regretting pushing this podcast back to after the Ohio State game until like basically the last like 5 seconds. I thought for sure they were going to get stopped short. Emotionally, mentally, I'm all over the place. But we are here to talk Texas, to get set for the race, build some DraftKings lineups, look at the updated betting odds, figure out where the value is and who we should be excited about this week. Because obviously we had some thoughts coming in. Based on qualifying, we feel better about maybe where we're at.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Compared to practice, I don't know. So we'll dig through all the numbers. We'll figure out where our heads are at and all that good stuff. But before we dive in, how are you doing this Saturday evening? Are you ready to talk some NASCAR?
Yeah, no, I've had a great day. I mean, Michigan handled their business. And of course, I caught all of practice and qualifying, and way to effing go, Bubba Wallace. Keep giving the shh to all the haters out there. Second ever pole, like in probably the most important race that he's ever been in. I mean, if he can somehow win this race from the pole, like, are people finally going to jump aboard or what? But no chance. I'm excited to get into this. There were some surprising drivers with no speed, I guess you could say, but I think it presents some interesting potential value for tomorrow though. So yeah. I'm excited to look at the odds here.
Yeah, and I want to talk DraftKings too, because there's some interesting names that didn't qualify quite as well, but if you look at their numbers in practice, they're pretty dang quick, and I think the betting odds reflect that. So let's pull up DraftKings. Let me present here, share my screen, and we can run through it. So we have, I'll just go through the 10K. So Kyle Larson, starting 11th, 11-2, very interesting. Obviously, didn't qualify quite as well, but was 5th in 5 lap, first in 10, 15, and 20 lap. He was a rocket ship. He looks really good. Denny Hamlin, a guy that we were excited about winning this race, 10-1, starting 10th at 11K. William Byron, I'm going to be interested to hear where you're at with him. Ran 5 laps, was 4th fastest, didn't run anymore. Obviously didn't qualify as well. 10-8 is going to be incredibly interesting for me. Martin Truex starting 16th, 10-5. Tyler Reddick at 10-2 rounds out the 10K range. I guess, where are you at with the Hendrick guys? And are we still thinking Team Toyota over Team Chevy? Where's your head at?
The Toyotas, amazingly, they qualified amazing. I'm going to repeat the word here because traditionally they haven't been the best in like Saturday's stuff at Texas over the last like couple of years here, but they've shown up on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see what type of long run speed they bring, considering they had the short run speed to post good practice and qualifying numbers. And then as far as the HMS guys go, I mean, clearly Larson was the fastest guy during practice. He had an amazing practice run, which is what we normally see. And I think it's a toss up between him and Denny for who has had the best long run car throughout the entire season. So I would not, I mean, at 11-2, it's pretty steep, but if you could do exactly what we talked about, we should have done last week and just put Larson and Denny in a lineup, like I think that could be a play because it's going to be difficult to squeeze both of those guys in there.
Yep. So I built a little spreadsheet over the week after we talked with Las Vegas, Charlotte, Kansas 1 and Kansas 2 from this year in terms of driver averages, and baked in a tiny bit of Nashville and a tiny bit of Texas 2022 just to see how it wiggled everything out. And based on what I got and based on where my head's at, the top 3 were Byron, Hamlin, Kyle Larson. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The 4th guy on that list, Tyler Reddick, starting 15th, obviously did really well with RCR. Obviously now he's going to be, a 23-11 guy, but starting 15th, I think he could make a ton of sense. I'm curious to see. I feel like with the names around him, obviously you can go up, get Truex, get Byron, get Hamlin. You could go down the next range. I think there's going to be some compelling options down there as well. He may go a little overlooked, and I'm wondering if he's a nice little pivot play in this upper echelon.
Yeah. I mean, just from starting further back, but I do think it's interesting that the top 5 most expensive guys, none of them are starting inside the top 10.
Yeah.
So like you don't have
Dominator
anybody on the first couple of
decisions.
rows.
Yeah, dominator decisions are going to be very interesting this week.
Yeah.
Can you squeeze in 2 of the HMS guys or maybe 2 of the Toyotas and build an interesting lineup that way? We'll see what we can do. We might have to build a couple and see where our heads are at. The next range, Christopher Bell starting 9th at 9,900. Kyle Busch popped to 7th, 9,600. Ryan Blaney, 23rd, 94. Chase Elliott, 29th at 9,200, rounds out the 9K. 9K is also pretty interesting. There's a few names in there that I could definitely find myself getting to. Your guy, Ryan Blaney, did really well. He was actually 5th in my model. Obviously did really well at Charlotte. That helped boost his numbers. He was good here last year. Wasn't great at Nashville, but he's definitely, I've seen him perform well there. So I think he is a compelling target, especially given where he's starting. But I guess
I gotta say, dude, the Penske cars unloading as shitty as they did.
Yeah.
Like, it's very worrisome. I mean, my Blaney top forward bet is looking like absolute burning trash right now because compared to the RFK guys, like he's not even close on the setup. They completely whiffed here. Now, again, I do think there is you have to take some past history into account when it comes to running at Texas. But, if I'm going to continue to say something every single time we record here, it's that 2023 has been so much different than what we saw last year or just that we saw anything previous to the next gen car. So, I mean, some of that can all be taken with a grain of salt. And I think you got to go with kind of the way that they unload and then based on, recent stuff at similar type of tracks.
Yeah, we talked about the Fords at Texas not really having great runs in general. I'm curious to see if they can flip that, but don't feel really good, especially after practice. But I will say Blaney was kind of a mid-pack guy. Obviously qualified much worse, but didn't run a lot in practice. So it's kind of interesting to see.
I think it is interesting to note that there were only, I believe, according to NASCAR's site, and then obviously what our buddy iFantasy Race has, there was only 17 total drivers that even ran a 10-lap run during practice. So, I mean, we don't have a lot of information as to how these guys think that their cars are going to run on the long run. So
yeah, and they might have seen enough to be like, okay, we're good. Or like Denny ran 11th in the 5 lap, but all of a sudden was second in 10, 15, and 20. But like you said, only 4 cars ran 20 laps. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 13 ran 15 laps. So like less than half the field. Like it's almost like a tenth of the field, or I mean a third of the field. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how everybody approached practice and qualifying. I think,
and I do think, sorry, but
no, you're good.
I think there is definitely something between Tyler Reddick starting 15th at 10-2, and then Bubba Wallace, who they clearly gave him whatever type of speed to run that single lap run. I'm curious to see which setup they prefer to go with tomorrow, and if they kind of try to get together and formulate a combination of the two, and then both of these cars run good, but maybe not great.
Right. Yeah, so I'm curious to see how it all pans out. It's definitely interesting. It does seem like Penske, when they're not, like, when their cars don't fire off well, don't unload well, they're kind of just mid-pack cars unless
Yep.
they really get something. Sometimes, obviously, we've seen Logano short pit, or they've done some stuff like that to kind of help finagle their numbers. But yeah, it
Well, we
does
know
seem.
Ryan Blaney's team is not going to do that.
Yeah. Let's go into the 8Ks, where we have Brad Keselowski, who wasn't great in practice, but was able to qualify third. Christopher Buescher, his teammate, qualified second. They're 89, 8,800 respectively. Bubba is on your pole, 8,600. Ross Chastain has speed, qualified fifth. Actually looked pretty good in practice, 7th in 5 lap, 3rd in 10 lap, 5 and 15 lap. Are you buying the Chastain train as we, and then let me hit Harvick and Logano as we round out the 8K, but I guess start with Chastain, if you're buying the speed, and then I guess beyond there, are you interested in any of these potential dominators? Obviously, Harvick and Logano are starting in the 20s, so that's a different discussion. But among the Keselowski, Buescher, Bubba, and Chastain, where's your head at as potential dominators?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see Chastain unload with this type of, short run speed. That
Yeah.
is, I mean, he did decent during the long run, but he did similar at Kansas a couple of weeks ago, and he finished 13th there. So I mean, I have yet to fully come around and think that this dude has found their groove again. I mean, 23rd at Bristol last week, outside the top 10 at a Kansas track, or at 1.5 that they were amongst the top 5 best early in the season. So I mean, I have zero faith that he's going to stay up there. And then Kevin Harvick, I don't know what's the motivation at this point, other than just him go out, with the sun setting and just run the laps for his last few laps at all these tracks. What's the motivation, I guess you could say?
Maybe just sneak one more win if it's there, but I think he's going to be kind of a, we talked about this a lot last year. He was just kind of a 10th place guy. He was happy to be there and kind of made the most of it.
Yeah, and I don't think a veteran like Harvick is going to want to do anything that's going to jeopardize somebody in the playoffs,
No.
So, yeah.
Yep, he's going to do his thing. He's going to be out there. If he has a chance to push it, I think he will, but I think he'll be understanding and rightly stay out of the way if it comes down to guys that actually have playoff aspirations.
I want to get your take though on the first 3 guys in this range, the RFK boys and Bubba, because you got to think one of these 3 is probably going to be the early dominator or get some early dominator points. Like, which direction are you going to go? Like, who do you trust the most to stay up there and have race winning speed, I guess you could say?
Yeah, probably Bubba. Good at Vegas, good at Kansas, fine at Charlotte. Obviously was awful last year at Texas, but he's definitely a different driver this year.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Fords and how we're kind of worried about them. Buescher was 10th in practice. Keselowski was 20th. I'm not excited about their speed. Short run, long run. Obviously, they were able to qualify well, so they'll probably have to make some decisions and tweak the car for race day. But yeah, I mean, hell, I might even go with Ross Chastain and say if he's got the speed and he shows it, and I mean, it's kind of gross, but Bubba's probably the right answer. He's gonna start up near the front, have him jump out quickly, lead a bunch of laps. He probably will, just have him finish anywhere near the 5 to 10 range. Probably be fine.
Yeah, it's really intriguing because, so for instance, last year, each of the top 4 starters finished 8th or better at Texas. So, I mean, starting position has been crucial at this track. So if you hit on the one guy that is able to stay up front, lead a ton of laps, maybe not win the race, but say finish still within a couple of spots of his starting position, I think you're going to be good. But it's just you have to find that one driver, and I think a guy like Ty Gibbs starting fourth, he's going to be popular because he was fast again. Boy, was I sweating that pole bet. But
Well, I think that's a good. Let's transition to the 7K range because I think there's a few things there. So Ty Gibbs, 7,900, starting fourth, could be an interesting option. I don't think a lot of people are going to go there.
He's been fast too.
He's been very fast, and he's been really good at mile and a halves. Obviously wasn't great early, but was somebody who has gotten much, much better. It was awesome at Nashville. It was awesome at Kansas. He's improved as stuff has gone along. It's interesting to see Daniel Suarez in the top 10. That makes
Trackhouse guys.
That's what I'm saying. I feel a little bit better about what Trackhouse. I'm doing it to myself, Brian. I
You're
can't
talking
believe
yourself into.
I can't believe it. But I don't actually want any part of Suarez. But the fact that Trackhouse was fast gives me a little bit of maybe Ross Chastain is worth looking at.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't know. The rest of the 7K, Alex Bowman starting 14th, Eric Jones starting 12th, Almirola starting 21st. That is a group that you just
I really want no part of that. Inside. Yeah, that's like a skip group right there.
Yeah. What did it?
In the 6K range, as we transition into those guys, I gotta say, before even going over the names, Carson Hocevar, he needs to have a full-time Cup ride in 2024. This kid is amazing. The fact that he's been able to step into the 42 that Noah Gragson was routinely running, high 20s, low 30s, and be qualifying inside the top 20 and running inside the top 20 pretty much every single lap that he's been in this car, like, just shows you the type of speed that he can bring to, subpar equipment. Like,
it's interesting because it does seem like you have to have the right circumstances in order to get the bump to a full-time ride. You have to have the relationships. There's some other stuff going on.
For instance, Daniel Hemrick.
Right.
How the F does he get re-promoted into the Cup Series? Like, he's a good driver, but I mean,
for some of these teams, I think they want less about winning the race and more about keeping the car on the track and not putting it in danger and not worrying about it being wrecked each and every week. I think Hocevar is a Xfinity driver for another year or two, and then probably gets promoted when some of these guys start retiring. I mean, we're in an interesting range where there is some like Logano, and obviously Harvick's gone after this year. Almirola soon. Yeah, so there's going to be some guys kind of exiting out. There's going to be some rides available. It'll be interesting to see if some of the guys that are like lower tier Cup drivers move up, and then the Xfinity guys feel behind them, or if they take a shot. It'll be, But I'm with you. Hocevar has been really impressive every time he's got a shot, and I'd like to see him get a full-time or full-time-ish ride.
Just to backtrack on long news from long ago. Do you think that there's any chance that SHR and the 4 team are regretting jumping the gun on Josh Berry when they could have possibly realized, oh shit, we could have another young gun in Carson Hocevar jump into this car?
Yeah, I don't know. Because obviously Berry has had moments with Hendrick where he looked really good, and other races where he was just kind of whatever. I think they're probably happy with their decision, but it is like, obviously
it's like the safe move.
Yeah, 100%. And that's probably okay for them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at with Almirola and Harvick, and that's kind of what they like.
Yeah. We
Uh,
got off the rails there a little bit, but
it's fine. We're recording this late on a Saturday night. I figured the rails were going to be long gone by the time we got through the DraftKings, but
yeah.
okay. So we talked Hocevar, AJ Allmendinger. Speaking of a potential early dominator, that's going to be crazy cheap. That is going to probably not get a lot of love, but I'd almost rather jump to him
Yeah, but
instead of going to Gibbs or to going to a Suarez or maybe even to Ross Chastain. Like as much as I'm trying to convince myself that it's not terrible. I know Dinger, I don't know, but as Wormy says, when Dinger shows speed, you gotta believe.
the only thing I worry about with Dinger is because he's starting 6th and not on like the front 2 rows here.
That's true.
I do worry about the guys like Larson, Hamlin, Byron, all of them who are starting in the teens, because by the time Dinger is able to pass the guys that are in front of him who are just as fast, those guys that are behind him who are better and are in better equipment are probably going
Yeah.
to be caught up to him and probably pass him up. That's just
Yeah, I
the
mean,
way I look at that.
I think that's fair.
Because I mean, think of it. He's got the RFK boys, he's got Bubba Wallace, he's got Ty Gibbs, and I mean, Dinger looks fast, but I
He
don't
has
think
Bell
he's.
and Kyle Busch right around him.
Yeah, and I mean, Christopher Bell was rocket fast too,
Yeah.
and he just missed his qualifying lap. So
Dinger was the fastest in 5 lap. I don't know. I guess I'm a little more into the idea. Obviously, it's not like something that helps you, like makes you really comfy and helps you sleep at night. But when we're talking like GPP lineups and like trying to win contests, I think his upside and potential is higher than what the field may be considering. I think a lot of people could easily scratch him off going, who cares? It's AJ Allmendinger. He's been slow, starting 6. I have no interest. I'm gonna say I have some interest. I'm not gonna go all the way, especially given where we're at with potential dominators. Like if we were talking about Hendrick guys or
yeah, true.
someone we really liked to be a super fast machine, then no, I would have no interest. But when we're talking about Bubba and Chastain and the Fords that we think might be a little slow and that looked slow in practice, I think it's in play. That's all.
Yeah, I do wonder though. I mean, kind of at the opposite direction that we were talking about Dinger early in the season, with him having a full-time ride and not worrying about all that stuff, that he's going to be transitioning back to Xfinity next year. That maybe he's already like thinking,
Checked out.
like I just want to go have fun,
Yeah.
and you know,
no, we definitely saw that with like Kyle Busch last year and a couple of guys when they were like the last few races, they were literally just like out to lunch.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm interested, but I think there's obviously a lot of reason for potential nonsense. Okay, let's round out the rest of the field. Justin Haley, Austin Cindric might be the most disappointed driver this season. I came in with a little optimism for him. Thought maybe he could win a race, at least be competitive in most races, and he's just been like a non-factor, especially down the stretch.
he's just been
Corey
bad.
LaJoy, Harrison Burton, Zane Smith. Speaking of Xfinity guys in Cup cars, starting 33rd. Don't hate it.
Yeah, just I
Like,
mean, is he riding the 36 though?
I think so. What car is he driving this week?
Yeah, I believe he's in the third. Oh no, he's driving the 38. Yeah, so he's in Gilliland's car, and Gilliland is driving the 51 Rick Ware car. What a weird effing season for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, obviously
I can
I'm not
see him being
comparing.
a potential for placement points, just because front row has been better of late.
Yeah, and he got a little bit better in the 10 lap speed. Obviously only 17 cars ran, so not hard to do, but I think when you're scraping the barrel like this, I think he is somewhat of an interesting name.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we do the Ty Dillon thing again. Maybe we do the Harrison Burton thing again. I don't know. I feel like there's somebody down here who's going to have a fine day, but I don't love it. All right, Brian, let's build us a lineup, and potentially we'll build a second one depending on how we feel. So everything we just talked about, all things considered, who do you think is the number one driver that has to be in our lineup today?
Kyle Larson.
Okay.
Starting outside the top 10. We screwed the pooch last week by thinking that it was going to be difficult for him to move his way up at Bristol.
If we trust Larson, I'm going to see if we can do this.
Oh, no. All right. You know what? I like this. Let's go down.
Mile and a half. Hendrick boys. They tend to find each other, and
Beautiful.
they tend to be right 1 and 2 victory lane ish. I'm in. If it squeezes us into an uncomfortable spot that we just like can't make work, there's obviously pivots off of there that we can get to. But I think, not only if we're talking about being unique in terms of which drivers make our lineup, I think this combination also pushes us into a group that I don't think a lot of people are going to do. So that's where my head's at.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And then I'm trying to look. I mean, I think we go to Zane Smith. I actually kind of like that play because Front Row Motorsports has been better this season, and we're not asking him to do a lot.
No.
Just get inside the top 25, I think.
Yeah. And I honestly don't hate going to like a Justin Haley just to see if we can save some salary there. And
yeah, I like that call quite a bit, especially with seeing how fast Dinger unloaded.
Yeah, exactly. And that puts us in a much more comfortable spot for our final two drivers. So we can do a lot here. We probably should grab a Dominator. Do we want to, since we went Haley, do we want to try and go Colleague and put the Dinger in as our Dominator? Or do you want like Ty Gibbs or Ross or even Bubba?
Okay. So when you're looking at this group again, I'm going to ask this again. Who do you trust the most to not F up early and at least lead, 20 laps or throw down like fastest laps early in the race?
I want to say Ross Chastain. Really bad. But Bubba's
all right, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm telling you, man, I didn't think I would be here, but here I am. Probably going to regret this as soon as the race starts, but I think he might be good. And I know Bubba's been really good on mile and a halves. And we haven't really seen anything from Trackhouse since All-Star break. But the fact that they've got two cars in the top 10, Ross showed speed. I don't know. And I think it allows us to do it. But if we, Bubba's really interesting too. And we like Toyotas.
Well, I'm going to get even grosser. So, look, we're going to get weird with this.
Talk dirty to me.
Ty Gibbs.
What are we doing? Is this real? Is this real life?
I just you saw it early in the season with Gibbs. When we went to the Vegas race and we watched qualifying, we were both taken away by holy F. He's actually got some speed at these tracks. And then he continued at the mile and a half and just in general of late. His car has looked fantastic every single week. It's just a matter of keeping it on all four and not wrecking out. And I think that he could somehow, oh my gosh.
I'm going to do that. I think that makes more sense.
Really?
I think it makes more sense. I think that's the move.
I almost wonder if we're going to be going against the grain with Bubba, just because how many people actually think that he's going to stay up there?
I don't think people are going to think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to be very compelling. We talked about our excitement for Toyotas and going Gibbs. I think that means we expect Toyotas to be strong, at least initially. So I think if we can get Gibbs and Bubba running up near the front as our
Early, at least.
starters, and then hopefully one of them can stay up there and compete with Team Hendrick at the end, I think we put ourselves in a nice spot. And then we get Zane Smith and Justin Haley flirting with top 20s, and we're right there.
Yeah.
I think
I don't hate it, because that's going to be, I mean, I think there's safety in the Hendrick guys, Larson and Byron, and then you're throwing the dart with Bubba and Gibbs here.
And it leaves a little bit of salary. Like people love to spend every last dollar.
Yeah.
So another way to be a little different. All right. You want to build one more, or should we just go talk some odds?
Let's talk some odds. We can.
Okay. Yeah, we went through that. Let us know down in the comments your favorite your favorite option to be your early dominator. That's what I want to know. Who do you like to be the dominator early? And you can say nobody. I'm not trusting any of these jabronis, and I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson or somebody and Denny Hamlin and expect them to get to the front early. But let us know down in the comments. I'm very, very curious. So odds. Before we do that, really quick, current card from Wednesday. William Byron 8-1 is my outright. I have Keselowski on a top 10, which pretty happy with that. Brad Keselowski top Ford.
Good bet right now.
Under 3.5 Fords to be in the top 10, based on what I saw from qualifying. Pretty okay with that. And then Chase over Ryan Blaney, just because Brian is on Ryan Blaney, and I expect that to not go well for him. So jumped on that. Brian obviously had Ty Gibbs on the pole. Almost got there. At least he didn't hit the wall this time. And then he has Ryan Blaney as a top Ford. So tons of room on Brian's card to get interesting this week. I'm curious to see if I can push him into some bets. So
thanks.
Let's do it.
Let's
Kyle Larson is your betting favorite. 4, 4.5, or 5-1.
5.
Denny right
5
there.
1/4 at BetMGM, by the way.
What's that?
5 1/4 at BetMGM.
Let's go. That is why you shop it. If you like Kyle Larson, 5.25 is actually a decent price. I think he could be really good. Obviously, he is starting near the front, but not all the way up there. Denny right there next to Larson, starting 4 or 5-1. Are you betting either of these guys at their prices? I know we don't normally do it, but I feel like the last couple weeks we've definitely got into more of a willingness to get, and maybe it's we look at top Chevy, top Toyota, something else to get a little bit, to get exposure to them without actually going to the outright market. But are you betting either of those guys before we dive into the rest?
Yeah, I definitely think you got to shop the markets for those auxiliary markets first, and then determine whether or not there is value on them on the outright. Because I mean, picking them on an outright, and I apologize about my puppy going absolute apeshit right now.
It's all good.
Like picking them on an outright at such a short number, they're battling 37 other cars or whatever it is, 35 other cars for that, when you could get them top manufacturer, or maybe just in a matchup and just go more units on that and still cash out.
Yep. No, I like where your head's at. We'll definitely take a look and see if we can't attack that. So then we have a bunch of guys kind of in this like 9 to 12, 14-ish range.
It says a lot for what the books think is going to happen.
And then I'm sure FanDuel hasn't been updated, because why would they update their odds? Ross Chastain somewhere around 7 to 10. Martin Truex kind of in that 12-ish range. Chris Bell as short as 9, as long as 14. Byron, I'm adding the Byron 14. I know I already have him at 8. He did nothing in practice or qualifying that makes me think his number should drop that much. Maybe I'm a sucker. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. But I don't get that number. Tyler Reddick, you can get him at as long as 14. Kyle Busch, like Christopher Buescher, like the books really just like threw up their hands, smushed all these guys into a range, and said, "Y'all figure it out." And then we'll end at Bubba. So at Bubba, Brad, Buescher, Busch, Reddick, Byron, Bell, Truex, and Chastain. Of that group, who's jumping out as the most compelling target at their current prices for you?
Well, it's without question William Byron. If you can get 14-1 on William Byron, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like even I'm gonna add that just out of spite of of DraftKings. Like,
oh no,
like
Ryan Blaney and William Byron are finishing 36th and 35th respectively.
But yeah, like, okay, Christopher Bell's number, I don't hate that because he's been fast. But again, it's just they've been effing up, during the race, and it's maybe now because they didn't qualify on pole, and you have all that talk about them on pole, they're gonna put it together. I don't know, and I
feel like we've been waiting for Christopher Bell to put it together for like 4 months. Like I know Wormy's betting him all the time.
I can only guess that tomorrow on Wormy's pre-race poll,
I can't wait.
His pick is gonna be
I cannot wait. I'm so excited for that. I think we need to find him a bell to ring every time he picks Christopher Bell.
Yeah, we need to just send him it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler Reddick, I think at 14 is compelling. Obviously I like Byron. I don't hate Ross. It's terrifying. I
do think it's really interesting that DK has Chastain priced where he is.
Have you checked? I'm gonna do this while we do this. Have you looked at what Circa or Westgate have?
Oh, I have not. Okay. And I should have been because the wife is there. Right. So
I'm gonna look up Superbook. You look up Circa just so we can get odds for people. But I'm always really interested to see where they're at in terms of the bets they're getting, because obviously, typically a little more sharp bettors take a little bit more, tend to prioritize NASCAR a little bit more. Doesn't mean their numbers are always right, but it is interesting to see kind of what the market is doing.
So they have Chastain at 10-1.
Who does?
Circa.
Okay.
Byron is also 10-1.
See, that's interesting. That is interesting. I'm logging into Superbook right now. Let's go to NASCAR. One of the nice things is if you do go to Vegas, get all the apps set up so you can at least check numbers and kind of shop them. So Byron is 10. Chastain is 8 at Superbook. So the Westgate, Circa, two of the sharp NASCAR bettors. Paradises, kind of interesting. Reddick is 14 there. Byron is 10. Truex is 10, which I think is interesting. Larson and Denny are both 5.
I really don't understand where the Truex optimism is coming from. He looked okay in practice.
Yeah, we didn't really. I kind of joked about it when we were talking initially. Like we just skipped over him when we were talking outright odds and didn't really give him as much look and obviously he was 15th in 5 lap and then 6th and 4th. So the slowest of anybody who went 20 laps, mid pack for anyone who went 15, and then 6th out of 17 drivers for anyone who went 10 laps. So yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, all of this could be for naught, because if Kyle Larson puts together a complete race and they don't have a mistake, he's probably running away with this. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. We should look at what his championship odds are. I almost bet William Byron like 3 or 4 times to win the championship. It's so compelling.
The only thing is so looking at championship odds, again, we're taking a detour here. Why would I want to bet Byron? Say, for instance, he's probably like 6-1, maybe at the longest you could get him.
He's shorter. I think he's like 5-1.
Yeah, like for instance, you could bet him 14-1 to just win Texas.
Yeah, But I mean, he could get top 3 in a few races and not necessarily need to win. But yeah, I see
Well,
what
you
you're
just
saying.
roll those over then.
Yeah, bet him top 5 and just roll it over every week, and you might get yourself a better number than 5-1.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. Especially, I think this week I want to really check odds for top 3, top 5, and head to heads with Byron, because clearly the market sentiment on him is he wasn't very good, but I think he was exceptional. So I'm fine with him. Do you have any interest in the RFK boys? Does Kyle Busch tickle your fancy?
I was just
Um,
gonna say, so as fast as the RFK guys were in qualifying, Kyle Busch is really intriguing to me this week because he's been good here in the past when he ran for JGR, and that 8 car with Tyler Reddick was really good here last year. And we've mentioned this multiple times this season when he's qualified well, and then you also correlated that with the fact that that particular car with Reddick in it performed well the previous season. It did well at that track. He was probably going to be good on Sunday, and I do think that he's got a chance to be good. It's just we haven't seen the race winning speed out of him for pretty much since like the first couple of months of the season.
yeah,
So it's just hard to get to a number at 11 when you could get, say, Busher at 14, who has been incredible the last
yeah,
couple of weeks.
yeah. But even those, like the RFK guys, were slow. 2311 wasn't very good in practice. But it's hard to because, like you said, we only saw 5 laps from the majority of the cars, so
Yeah.
it's hard to tell how much we should take away.
It is going to be really difficult to get around Keselowski, though, early. With
Yeah,
him having such a nice starting position and both of those guys up front like that, we've seen them tandem race at the super speedways this season. And if they're able to kind of do that, maybe block both lanes
yeah.
here.
I wonder if Busher's a little bit better of a dominator than we talked about when we were building DraftKings lineups, just because of that. If Brad is able to kind of be the slow everybody down, and Busher can get up there and fight with Bubba, maybe he gets. But I just I don't know.
And then I'm going to say it. Wallace at 15 is, I know it's shorter than the numbers we're used to seeing from him, but they've clearly found something just as the season has gone on. And each and every week, this car is bringing speed.
If
Like
Tyler
tons
Reddick
of
did the
speed.
same thing Bubba did, he'd be 9-1 or 8-1.
Oh,
Obviously,
for
he's
sure.
won more.
Definitely. So
Yeah. Before I pushed record and before you hopped on, I was looking at Bubba and thinking, if his odds are where I think they could be, I should probably add him.
And that's the thing. It's like we're not used to seeing him this short, other than at like super speedways.
But he's earned it this year. He's
Oh yeah,
earned
for sure.
being, obviously he's not a 9-1 or 8-1 driver yet, but he deserves to be kind of in that 12-ish range, especially this week. Like, he's much closer to Reddick, Byron, Bell than I think people want to give him credit for. And yeah, I think we're still getting a little bit of a discount on his price, and I think that's very tempting.
Yeah, and I'm going back over his stuff, and every time he's qualified inside the top 10, other than Kansas, where he led a few laps and he wound up finishing a couple laps behind because he got involved in some bullshit. He's ran really well. So when this car unloads fast, he's good on race day. Now, is he going to have race winning speed? I really don't know over the long run, because we have yet to see that type of weekend where he's just that dominant.
Yeah. But if he has a chance and he's in the conversation at 1.5 miles, I think he has a lot more juice than we would have ever thought in the past.
True. Yeah, very true.
And obviously winning at Kansas has helped. I think this is a good setup for him. He was good at Vegas. He was great at Kansas 1. He was solid at Charlotte, solid at Kansas.
He was really good at Charlotte. Started 7th, finished 4th. So
yeah. And his number, he's 6th in my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 6th in my rankings. But was really bad at Texas last year, was pretty not great at Nashville, but outside of that, he was pretty rock solid. So to be fifth, given what his number was for Texas and what his number was for Nashville, obviously not taking as much into those two races, but something to consider. I think he makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think beyond there, like, are you interested in Ryan Blaney as an outright?
I mean, 22-1.
It is interesting.
That's pretty nice. But again, you talked about it when we talked DK. Like when Penske hasn't unloaded well, they haven't performed very good on race days. So, I mean, maybe he could crack the top 10, but I don't have any faith that this particular car is going to be able to drive through the field. I mean, he's starting outside the top 20. So,
and like he's at Charlotte, he was awesome, but he looked awesome all weekend. Everywhere else, like Vegas, Kansas, Nashville especially, was awful there, but like he was just kind of a mid-pack guy, and I think he'll be kind of in that range all day long. I don't expect him to push to the front. I don't think he'll be running in the back, but I think he'll be kind of in that middle. And then I don't think there's anybody else that's even like Dinger at 75. I have no interest.
well, and then just real quick on Blaney, his best finish since he won at Charlotte is a 6th place, and that was at Gateway the week after that.
No.
And then every single race since then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 events has been 9th or worse.
Yeah, Penske just, they don't have it this year. It's interesting to see.
Yeah.
All right. So are you adding any outrights to your card?
Yeah. William Byron 14-1. How can that be? I
think it's a good number.
That's stupid.
He's great a mile and a half. He's number one in my model. He is been dominant. He's had race winning speed, and when he's gotten a chance to win, he's won. Yeah, I think there's a very, we can look at what the odds are for Hendrick to win. It's probably not very good. It's probably better to, especially with where Byron's number is. But I think Hendrick probably finds victory lane. He's even as excited as we are about the Toyotas.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked outrights. Let's talk some top 10s. Brad Keselowski, I got at minus 120. He's now minus 160. I don't want any part of that.
Yeah. Still giving us the business with these numbers.
Yeah. Blaney at minus 105. Ty Gibbs at plus 100. Given what he's shown.
I don't hate that.
Dinger at plus 250. Just the top 10. I'm going to add that.
Oh, no.
I'm probably going to hate it. But like, he's shown the speed. He is starting, 6th?
Yeah.
And we're going to get, let's see what's the best number I can get.
That's actually pretty good. What are we looking at? We're looking at top 10s here?
Yeah, top 10.
You said Dinger?
Yeah, he's plus 250. I obviously he was 8-1, so if you got that, good job. But
I don't think the BetMGM lines are live.
No, but Caesars is up for sure.
Yeah, Caesars is there.
Plus 250 to top 10. I think there is value on that number.
Yeah. Who the hell was the? Oh yeah.
Hocevar plus 450.
I was just gonna say Carson Hocevar feels like it's
Haley
calling
8-1.
Ooh, he's starting a little bit further back though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the Hocevar number just for fun. Okay,
Funsies.
Not here to be frugal with my money.
Come on, be frugal. Is that the best number you can get?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's priced the same at Bet Rivers.
Okay. It's usually our best bet. All right. Top Chevy. Kyle Larson plus 140. William Byron plus 380. Ross Chastain plus 380.
Hold
Kyle
on.
Busch plus 450.
Kyle Busch plus 450.
That looks pretty nice.
The only thing about that though is like if we have outrights on Byron.
Top 3 is 3-1. So is it worth it to do the plus 380 knowing Larson might be a rocket? Or do we take 3-1 to top 3 knowing that even if Larson wins, Byron could get second or third and still cash for us?
I'm a little less optimistic about that now because, like, with how fast the Toyotas, especially Denny,
Yeah.
Bell, and then Bubba. Like, I think Wallace is the ultimate wild card. Even starting from the pole, like if he does what people don't think he's able to do and runs a complete race, I think there's a legit shot that he literally runs away with this thing.
6-1 to be top Toyota.
That's a pretty damn good number because then you don't even have to worry about him winning.
For the guy sitting on the pole who is fast, it's kind of interesting, as you mentioned.
And we don't have any practice numbers on him because they were probably tinkering with the car every couple of laps. Like, hey, I want this. Hey, I want this.
The other thing I'm thinking about, Denny has his teammate, or he has one of his drivers in front of us. Denny already has the win, so he's ready.
He's not gonna push his. Would he do it again? Would he push?
He would. I think he would. I think we've seen it. I think he's been in position and he did it, and I think he would do it again.
I mean, look, leave it to Denny, who has taken on the villain role and just ate it up like it's a big bowl of ice cream.
Nothing like a villain, yet everyone hates him.
Right?
It's wild.
I think it's because they claim that he's a whiner, which he is. Like, he complains.
He is the biggest whiner. He's the one that will spin you out and then complain about how you spun around too much. And if you spun him out, he will have a meltdown because you did the same thing he did. And I'm just I mean, I've been over this. He is on Logano / Keselowski level for me.
Oh my god!
Yeah, no, I can't stand the guy, but hell of a driver.
And also too, I think people really need to take a step back from their fanhood and appreciate what a guy like him or what a personality like him is doing for the sport too.
So I got Keselowski at top 4 plus 275. It's now plus 135. I wouldn't bet it at that number.
Yeah, no. And going back to the Bubba top Toyota, I am going to add that.
Do it.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs at 8-1, given where he's starting, is kind of interesting too.
Yeah, no, I do like the Gibbs. I love the Gibbs numbers, and I think that there's some potential value with him. Not in the top 10 market, just because it's hard to get there at just plus money on that. But you could get top 5 at DK at plus 275.
Don't hate that. I'm curious to see who he's matched up with this week. I think that could be a nice play too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we do need to look at. We haven't even looked at.
Let me look at some matchups.
What is Blaney's top 4 number now, by the way?
325.
Wow, I'm actually surprised.
Yeah.
I guess I'm okay. I lost a unit there, but
I think even at over 2-1, I think it's fine. Yeah. I want to see. Okay, number of Fords over 2.5 is minus 160. Oh, I got under 3.5 at minus 150. Now it's over. Now the 2.5's the number. Plus 130 is kind of interesting there. So you have to get
is like if you get both RFK guys that run well, and then you have
and then nobody else.
Well, okay, no, I'm just saying, like, say there's some weird shit that happens late.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely dangerous, but plus 130 is kind of interesting. Chevy's over 4.5 is plus 150. Under 4.5 is minus 180. And then Toyota's under 3.5 is plus 105. Yeah. I actually don't hate over 3.5 at minus 135. To top 10, we could get Bubba, Denny, Bell, Reddick, Ty Gibbs.
Okay. So if the number here is juiced to the over here, so that means the book is expecting 66%, 2/3 of all of the Toyota cars to finish inside the top 10 here. So that just goes to tell you, like, okay, a Bubba, a Gibbs, the longer shot guys, for me, I wouldn't even bother betting them on the top 10 market. I think you go up and you bet their top 5, because if the expectation is that they're going to run and finish inside, at least 4 of the 6 Toyotas are going to finish inside the top 10. Like, I think you buy the extra juice and then go back to the Toyota market and also hit it with the over 3.5.
I don't hate that. It's just like, is there any valuable Toyotas that we think maybe?
Well, that's the thing. They're all juiced to the positive here, like to finish top 10.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So you can get Bubba, who's minus 140, and Truex, who's minus 160 at
plus 175.
Is that what it was? Plus
Yeah.
165, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's look at head-to-heads. Featured. No. Scheduled? Yeah. Harvick at plus 115 versus Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, we've seen do dumb stuff for no reason. You get Harvick, who's going to be Mr. Consistency for plus money. Don't hate that. Here we go. Dinger minus 105 versus Daniel Suarez.
Yeah. But who makes a mistake first?
I know I'm excited about the potential speed of Trackhouse, but I will take Dinger in that matchup for sure. Byron at minus 120 versus Chris Buescher. I kind of like that, especially given where we're at with Byron. Larson minus 120 versus Denny. Bubba plus 105 versus Christopher Bell. I think that has to go on your card. Plus money against Chris Bell. I mean, I guess Chris Bell could win the race. So
yeah, Bell is fast.
Reddick versus Truex. Kyle Busch versus Brad K. I don't hate Kyle Busch in that matchup. Carson Hocevar over Michael McDowell.
I think that's crazy that he's juiced as the favorite. Like, I know he's good, but I mean,
I don't see it on your card.
That's hard to bet that, man.
You just said it was crazy. Now it's hard to bet.
Well, I'm not getting paid. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, that's fair.
You're not getting paid off of that when you have a veteran driver like McDowell who may just keep it together, and then you have Hocevar, who's a youngster who may get a little wild and drive it into the corner too deep and slide up, like we saw happen with whatchamacallit, Justin Allgaier and Parker Kligerman today coming to 10 to go. So, there's a little bit too much risk there. I do like the bottom one. Austin Dillon over Eric Almirola. Kyle Busch looked great practice. He's great at this track. I definitely think he's probably in Dillon's ear here. Dillon has been okay at Texas in the past. He's running near the top 10. And SHR as a whole has just been absolute dumpster fire this season. So I'll take the plus minus 105 here.
All right, a few more. So we got Elliott Logano, Bell Keselowski, Bubba.
And just because you talked me into it, Bubba over Bell is going on the card.
There you go. KFB over Ryan Blaney at minus 106 is nice. I know you won't do it.
I can't bet against Ryan Blaney. I have such a hard time doing that.
Chase Elliott against Ryan Blaney.
Ooh, hold on.
Holding.
There is a Toyota matchup. Let me just. Yeah. I think I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it.
Appreciate everyone who's made it this far. If you are still enjoying the content, if you're enjoying what we're doing, smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you've yet to do that. Let us know down in the comments in terms of DraftKings, your favorite early dominator. And then obviously, if you're just here for the betting stuff, let us know your favorite matchup you found in market. What are you adding, Brian? What are
Nothing.
you not adding,
I decided against it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I decided against
all right,
it.
we've gone over an hour. Should we review the card, give the people our favorite bet as we sit here Saturday evening, and get out of here?
Let's do it.
Cool. Byron outright 14-1. Blaney top forward from early in the week. Added the hosts of our top 10 at plus 450. I kind of like that. Bubba to top Toyota at 6-1. A little risky here, but you do get paid out on those, so I like those both. Dylan over Almirola and Bubba over Bell. I have Byron. I have Keselowski on the top 10. I have Keselowski top forward. Under 3.5 forwards in top 10. And Elliott over Blaney from when we talked early in the week. I doubled down with Byron at 14. I added the Dinger to top 10 at plus 250, which I think is a good number given where he's starting and how he looked. And then Dinger over Suarez was my matchup that I added. Brian Twining, what is your favorite bet as we sit here Saturday night?
So it's not even on the card yet.
Oh boy, I'm ready for it.
But it's another matchup.
Oh baby.
And it's gonna ruffle some feathers.
Bubba over Busher.
Over Chris Busher.
You got your two favorite sons battling it out.
So it's over at Bet Rivers, minus 104.
Yeah.
When you look at their track histories at these types of tracks,
Bubba
Wallace is by far head over heels better than what Busher has been this season. And he's qualified on pole. I just think that in terms of potential at this type of track, Wallace's ceiling is much higher than Busher's. And so give me that all day, every day.
I too am going with a matchup. I'm going to go Dinger over Suarez. I guess I don't trust Danielson to do what he needs to do. There was a few other that were tickling my fancy, but just couldn't quite get it there. All right. Enjoy the race. Good luck on Sunday. And crush your DFS lineups, crush your matchups, crush your head-to-heads.
Cash some tickets, baby.
And let's hit some winners. Have a good one.